are starting to touch on those challenges that they're starting to see in the industry. What do you see as the biggest roadblock or major challenge that these pump companies are facing when it comes to obtaining not just affordable but adequate insurance coverage?
Yeah, that's a big distinction, what you just said. So you could probably go get a policy, right? It's very stripped down coverage, but it's a piece of paper and it'll keep you going down the road until there's a problem, right? And we've all seen this, like even with your personal insurance, you could go get a policy that has very little to no coverage or very weak coverage language. But if you get pulled over, you can show I have proof of insurance and you pay your premium and you keep going. But if there's a claim, you may not have an advocate on your side that can help you walk through the claim. And so you're stuck. And now you've got all this time, payroll, and frustration trying to deal with a claim. And then on the other side, there's some carriers that just will completely exclude certain times of operations, right? I'll give you one example. This is a few years ago that I got a call from a concrete pump company and they said, hey, we'd like to meet with you. So I go visit with them. I typically ask to see their policies and see where they're at. And this concrete pump company, that's all they did, right? 100% pumping. They didn't have any other operations. And in their general liability policy, their specific operations were excluded. So they had a policy, but if there was any claim that arised out of any kind of concrete operations, it was excluded. And so I said, hey, let me just read this to you, right? And look, the carriers all say there's a contract, right? When you get a policy that you agree to read through the policy as the policy holder, right? I understand very few actually read the policy. These are written by attorneys for attorneys, right? So the language can be frustrating to read or difficult to understand. And in this case, I said, hey, let me just read this to you. He's like, yeah, I had no clue. Like, well, you bought this policy and it has no coverage. So that's a pretty big risk, right? You're just throwing money away in the event you have a claim. So part of it is compliance. Like you got to have insurance to operate a truck on the road, right? DOT is going to hammer you if you don't, put you out of business or put you out of service. And then if you're signing contracts with either commercial or residential builders, they also have insurance requirements by contract. And so there's the compliance side, and then there's the coverage side. I still run across situations where either the coverage is not there or it's so expensive, right? It's difficult to find insurance that's a viable option right now.